I want to introduce you to Solstick Snowboard's quick step binding system. This is our bridge from regular bindings to stepping bindings. Now, regular bindings have been around for 20, 25 years, and they work very, very well. That's why they haven't changed that much. One of the problems with stepping bindings is that, first of all, you have to buy the boot and binding as a unit. Only one kind of boot fits in that kind of binding, which means that you're locked in, and you might not particularly like the boot designs or the boot shapes for the stepping system that you happen to like. And the biggest problem that we found, even with the old and the new stepping systems, is that if you have any kind of a snow buildup on the board itself, in your binding, in the mechanism, it won't engage. Or it's even longer to engage than a regular strap system binding. So what we have here is the natural bridge between the two. We have a binding that feels exactly like a regular strap binding system and is as easy and as fast, if not faster, to get into than a step-in system. And this is how it works. The first thing is that any kind of boot will work in the binding. It doesn't matter. Any boot from any company of any shape. And it's very simple. The binding itself has an open chassis. Everything is open and out of the way. You take your boot, you just plop it into the top like that. This comes over the top with one hand, and you're in business. You want to tighten it up, off you go. Now, if you like to ride the way that I like to ride, with my binding so tight that I almost have no circulation in my feet, one of the advantages of the system is when you get to the bottom of the mountain, you jump on the ski lift, your back foot comes out, you've got circulation going in your back foot, and you simply pop that open like that, and you've got circulation running around your front foot. You get to the top of the mountain, you just close that, you don't have to readjust everything, it's exactly where it was before you got out. So you get off the lift, you go sliding down, all the guys that were in the chairs in the front of you who wanted to get first tracks are sitting down and they're messing around with their bindings and they're kicking straps out of the way, and you just plop your foot into the top of this and over the top, thank you very much. And you're already riding and they don't even have their foot in the binding base plate yet. The focus of this binding system has always been to keep it simple. We wanted a binding that was going to be really, really light. And this binding is one of the lightest, if not the lightest, standard binding system on the market. And that means that it's a lot less effort to turn the board, especially if you're freestyling and you're doing a lot of inverted and spinny stuff where you want low swing weights. And if you're in the powder, if you're tree running or you're doing a lot of hiking, you don't want weight. And we've managed to reduce the weight significantly on this by going to an aluminum chassis on the binding. We then attach the binding to the board using thumb screws, which are tool-free. The idea here is that you can adjust your binding simply by tightening or loosening these screws with your thumb. If you loosen them all, like this, you can adjust your angle more or less. You want to go carving, you rotate this forward. You want to go to bumps, you rotate it back. You tighten it down like this, and it's not going anywhere. This means that it's very easy for you to move your bindings from board to board without using tools, or to adjust your bindings for the day. The top plate here is rigid, which stops you having toe lift when you're carving, but the straps on the side are slightly flexible so that you've got a natural flex feel to the binding. When this is closed like this, combined with the toe cleat, In this whole system, your boot doesn't move within here, but you have just a little bit of give so that the whole thing is forgiving and feels natural. And that has been the number one goal here of the system, is we want it to be quicker than a step in and feel exactly like a normal standard binding system would feel. Which then leads to the next question. Why have we put the buckles on the inside rather than on the outside that is more conventional? Well, there's a number of reasons for that. The first one, most logically, is that it's easier to be sliding off the lift with your foot on the board like this and then simply step in like this than have to step over the whole system, kick it out of the way, and then go down into the system. The other thing is it's easier because you want to do this one-handed, without necessarily looking down, is you step into the system like that and you can come over the top and off you go. These bindings, of course, are designed to have the buckles this way around. It's not like we put them on the board backwards. This is how it's designed to go. If you really wanted to flip them around, you could, but we don't recommend it because the whole point of this is to be able to do that and that, and off you go. Now, one of the things that we've tried to do to make this binding completely universal is create a system that would allow you to interchange this from board to board effortlessly. Right here, we have pucks that mount onto the board. These pucks essentially work as slight riser plates. I like to ride with my binding raised up a little bit. It gives me more edge control and more force with less boot drag. Obviously, it's not for everybody, and most people are going to ride with binding just simply directly on the board. But I like those. And what we do is we have this mounting bracket. This mounting bracket fits over the pucks. You simply place it on there and you slide it backwards like that, and you use this ball locking pin to hold it in place. This ball locking pin is really cool because it has a tool on it. On one end, we have a Phillips head screwdriver, and on the other end, we have an Allen key, which fits all of the screws on the binding. So you can adjust anything if something's coming loose, or more importantly, when you're with friends who don't have bindings that adjust without tools, you're there to save the day. You can get several pairs of the pucks. You put these on your various boards. You have one set of these, one set of bindings. So the first thing you would do if you want to use your binding and be able to move one set of bindings from board to board is you would mount the base plate or the chassis onto the plate that then mounts to the pucks. So using these tool-free screws, you simply mount it, you tighten it down like that so that it's not moving. You go skiing for the day, you're running powder lines, you're having a good time, things start to get skied out, you go, I'm going to change boards. And it is simple as simply pulling this out. This comes off and you move it over to your next board. So then you go over to the other board that you have at the base of the mountain that simply has the pucks on it. You line this up on there like that. It comes down, this threads through the bottom and it locks into place and off you go. And it's literally that fast to change the bindings from one board to the other. The other great thing that we have going here with these pucks is that they're split down the middle, which means that you can use these on a split board. We've designed these pucks that'll work on a 2x4 hole pattern, a 4x4 hole pattern, and a do-it-yourself split board. Now, why is that important? When you run a table saw through your split board, you're going to lose about 5 millimeters of width on the board. These have up to 6 millimeters of adjustment so that you can compensate for your board having been ripped down the middle and still fit everything to the board correctly. It also then has standard split board hole patterns. That way it's completely universal. These two pucks join together in a dovetail system that then gives your whole board stability, your split board, once you're putting it back together again. And once you put this on there and you link the whole thing together, you run the pin in through the bottom like that, and your board is completely stable and not moving anywhere. Now, if you want to go split boarding, we have these little pivots that add to the base of the binding. These 4 little pivots, 2 per binding base, simply screw into the binding base through the top, and the same pin that would attach the binding to the pucks would now go through here and attach your binding to your pivots for hill climbing. So this is just another way that we've also made this completely universal, that you can go from a standard binding for a normal board and you can then make it suitable for split boarding or with one binding. So with one binding, you have a system that you can change from board to board on any hole pattern and at the same time, going from do-it-yourself split boards to store-bought split boards, all out of the gate. It is completely universal and fits everywhere.
I'm Ben Dargy. I was in the World Cup before, and then today I test a new quick step. It's easy to get in and out. You just put your boots in, flip the cover, and then you clip inside. That's it, one step. If you want to get out, you just push the button here, and then it's easy and quick. It's really good for carving. I have fun in the powder, and then it's like a normal binding, but a little bit stiffer than a normal one and faster.
This is the quick step binding system from Solstick Snowboards, and we think that you're going to love it. This is, in our opinion, a game changer.